And we're going to be starting here in Nigeria on the Punch newspapers and sharing with you what the stories are across the pages this morning. The big one there, you can see, it says federal government summons varsity councils and vice chancellors as parents grumble. If, of course, you've been following that, ASU did put out a long statement, detailing its complaints concerning, the failure of negotiations with the federal government and whatnot. And, of course, has declared that the strike would be a full indefinite strike. NUC meets pro-chancellors on Tuesday to review actions, reach consensus. Oshimbajo, APC governors beg lecturers to end strike. Parents Association say ASU inconsiderate. Minister insists on no work, no pay. And also lecturers deserve pay despite strike, says ASU president. Army kills terrorist, arrest 3 suspects in Kaduna. And appeal court nullifies 20 billion naira damages. Igboho heads to Supreme Court. We can also find on the point this morning, hoodlums invade Lagos communities, rob residents, victims lament. And also 6,068 Nigerian doctors move to UK under Buhari.
That's a very alarming figure.
Yeah, it is. That's on page 12 of the Punch newspapers. 46 billion naira debt. NCAA threatens to withdraw airlines licenses. And oil earnings dropped by 29% to 790 billion naira. That's a CBN. We can also see, of course, pictures emerged yesterday. Tinubu seeks Jonathan support. APC denies internal rift. That's also on the Punch this morning. Finally, federal government projects 120 trillion naira as 3-year consumption expenditure. That's on page 21 of the Punch newspapers.
All right, now let's move over from Nigeria to South Africa. Of course, the big story there talks about Dudula sweeps up a gear. Police in action seems to embolden anti-immigrant group to target more hospitals and clinics and block undocumented foreigners from getting medical treatment on pages 2 and 3. If you look at the top of the page or the top of the paper, you can see photographs of people looking like they're in a protest. Yes, that's Operation Dudula members. They're protesting outside the Hillbrow Community Care Health Center yesterday against foreign nationals receiving health care at the facility. It's interesting because yesterday we spoke with a representative from Doctors Without Borders and had a conversation about this where we talked about how legal, what the legality is of them to be able to do this. But of course, we're bringing updates on that. And we can see here the president, Ramaphosa mom on Falafala farm. Of course, the members of parliament are enraged. They're upset that he hasn't said anything about the robbery at his farm, citing due process as a number of law enforcement agencies are investigating the matter. That's all that we have this morning on the Sowetan.
All right, moving away from South Africa, let's go to Kenya and see what the Daily Nation has for us. Decision 2022, Supreme Battle, wins and losses. Also, round 1, the Supreme Court gets down to business today in the Raila versus Ruto election petition after setting the ground rules during yesterday's pre-trial conference. The Azimio chief was given access to IBC servers while Ruto and Chebukati scored a win against the 4 dissenting commissioners. All eyes now turn to the lawyers and judges. It is spread across the papers, pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. And of course, there's a breakdown of what the legal battles would be like. A Supreme Court issues for the court to decide, and other things that are spread across the page there on the Daily Nation. Also, Motor is set to pay 3,000 shillings for new plates. China's loan terms steepest among Kenya's lenders. And also, police to hold girl in bizarre murder. It says detectives in Kikuyu police station have been allowed to hold for 14 days a 15-year-old girl who admitted to killing her 3 siblings and a cousin in a graphic confession that shocked the nation. That's on page 10. That's a really shocking story.
Wow.
And also, a good night for Raila in elections, pages 12 and 13. The Azimio Leaders Coalition won 5 of the 6 races up for grabs on Monday, trouncing William Ruto in the Kakamega and Mombasa governorship bids and taking 3 of the 4 MP slots. That's all the stories that we can share on Daily Nation on the last day of the month.
All right, now let's move over to Uganda where we look at the Daily Monitor. Of course, at the top of the paper, we can see the big story here. Schools increase fees ahead of third term. It's been a summer break in most parts of the country, in the different parts of the continent rather. A lot of students and pupils are going back to school sometime next week. September sounds like school fees, but it's sad or scary for many parents to hear the increase of school fees. Cost of education. A mini survey of schools countrywide shows that financially constrained parents will have to pay through the nose in order to take children back to school next week. Restoration of Isimba Dam cost 560 million shillings. Over 260 UPDF soldiers smile into retirement. I'll leave the last story there for last. And let's move to the top of the paper. Third term begins. Don't miss the PLE questions and answers. Tusobira started her real estate business at 19. That's inspiring. On the page, we can see General Tumwine led to rest in Kazo. And Kenya High Court starts election case hearings. We've been talking about this all morning. Final story here. Border riders now embrace registration. And I wonder if this is probably an update that we can use here in Nigeria. Here we're seeing more of the Okada ban, but what they are seeing, their border is the Okada for us here. They're registering. Some months ago, the police had put out a statement talking about border riders partnering with the police force to fight crime. So maybe, do you think that this is something that might work here in Nigeria if we enforce registration as opposed to outright ban?
Yeah, yes, I think it might, and I think if you remember also when there was that company called Okada that tried to regularize and, bring in some level of, science and technology into the whole process. If we did stuff like that, yes, we will be able to, achieve better with it. But the way that it is, having thousands of Okada and Okada riders just scattered across the city, undocumented, nobody knows where these people are from. They drive extremely reckless. There's no checks and balances, and security, safety tips rather with the way that they ride. It was just too chaotic, and I really don't blame Lagos State government for taking, those steps. It was just too chaotic. A lot of people used to joke and say there's, cats have 9 lives and Okada riders have, maybe 10. 9 or 10. But it's not the type of thing that you want to see in a sane society.